The music was already on its third loop. Why wasn't the bride coming out? The guests, seated on rows of white chairs, began whispering to each other, their faces etched with confusion. My best man rushed over, his voice a frantic whisper in my ear. "Ethan, man, Chloe won't come out." My face hardened. I turned and strode toward the bridal suite. I pushed the door open and there she was, Chloe Davis, my bride, in a pristine white wedding gown, sitting in front of the mirror. Her maid of honor, Jenna, stood beside her like a bodyguard. "Chloe, what's going on? The ceremony's about to start. Everyone's waiting for you." Chloe didn't turn around. She just stared at my reflection in the mirror, her voice like ice. "If you want me on that stage, fine. Call your parents right now. Tell them to bring the deed to the house. We're going to the county recorder's office first to add my name to that prenup property you paid for in cash." I froze, feeling like a bucket of ice water had been dumped over my head. "We talked about this. We agreed we'd EDO it after we were married. What is this today of all days? How could you?" My words were cut short by Jenna. "Whoa, Ethan, that's not fair," she said, crossing her arms with a smirk. "Talk is cheap. This is about security before the wedding. If you can't even show that much commitment, how can Chloe possibly trust you enough to marry you?" I looked at the woman in the mirror, so familiar and yet suddenly a complete stranger. The blood drained from my face. And then I laughed. It was a hollow sound, filled with an exhaustion and disappointment so deep it hurt. I walked straight to the stage, took the microphone from the officiant's hand. A confused murmur rippled through the guests. In the bridal suite, Chloe froze, clearly thinking I was about to cave. I took a deep breath and spoke to the entire wedding party. It was that one sentence that made Chloe's legs give out in the bridal suite, causing her to collapse to the floor. "Ethan, man, Chloe won't come out." My best man's anxious voice was a pinprick that burst the bubble of my composure. I was standing under the wedding arch, the California sun beating down, the whispers of our guests washing over me like a tide. The music was on its third loop. The officiant was sweating bullets. The smile on my face was starting to feel like a mask I couldn't hold up any longer. Taking a deep breath, I pushed through the crowd and made my way to the bridal suite. The door was unlocked. I pushed it open to see my bride, Chloe Davis, dressed in her immaculate white gown, sitting calmly at her vanity. Her maid of honor, Jenna, stood guard beside her with her arms crossed. "Chloe, what's going on?" My voice trembled slightly, not from fear, but from an anger that was about to boil over. "The ceremony is starting. Everyone is waiting." Chloe didn't look at me, her eyes meeting mine only in the mirror's reflection. They were cold. "You want me out there?" she finally said. "Fine. Call your parents right now. Tell them to bring the deed. We're going to the county recorder's office, and you're adding my name to the title of that house you bought before we even met." I was rooted to the spot. It was like a bucket of ice water had been poured over my head, freezing the blood in my veins. We had an agreement. We'd add her name once we were settled into married life. Today, now, with all our friends, family, and co-workers watching. How could she? How dare she? We agreed. "Ethan, that's not a fair way to put it." Jenna's sharp voice cut me off, dripping with condescending pity. "Verbal promises are worthless, aren't they? This is about giving Chloe security, a real sense of safety. If you can't even give her that little bit of assurance, how can she possibly marry you?" My mom, who must have followed me, was standing in the doorway. She was shaking with anger. "Chloe, honey, the house isn't going anywhere," she pleaded. "Look at the occasion. You're embarrassing both our families. A little embarrassment now is better than a lifetime of insecurity, don't you think, Mrs. Carter?" Jenna shot back, her every word a twisting knife. Chloe remained silent. Her silence was the answer. I looked at the woman in the mirror, this person I thought I knew. We had dated for 3 years. I thought I knew her inside and out. I thought we were here today because we loved each other. It turned out it was all just what I thought. I suddenly laughed. It was a weak, bitter sound. I didn't look at her again, nor did I bother arguing with her venomous maid of honor. I just gave a small nod. "Okay, I get it." I turned and walked out of the room. Behind me, I heard their triumphant whispers. "See, that's all it takes with men. A little pressure and they fold. You're a genius, Chloe. You're set for life now." I walked directly to the stage. The officiant looked at me like I was his savior, quickly handing me the microphone. A murmur went through the crowd. Everyone probably assumed I was about to announce a slight delay due to some minor hiccup. Chloe, back in her suite, likely thought I was on the phone with my parents, caving to her ridiculous, last-minute demand. I gripped the cool metal of the microphone. I looked up, scanning the faces of our guests. Family, friends, colleagues. Their expressions were a mix of confusion, concern, and a flicker of morbid curiosity. I took a deep breath and brought the microphone to my lips. Friends, family, thank you all for taking time out of your busy lives to be here today. My voice, amplified by the speakers, carried across the entire lawn. It was clear and cold. Unfortunately, I have an announcement to make. Today's wedding is canceled. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. I paused, my gaze cutting through the audience, as if I could see the shocked expression on Chloe's face in the bridal suite. Then I dropped the bomb. Because what we have here today isn't so much a wedding, I said, my voice ringing with bitter clarity, as it is a very special event I've arranged for my fiancée, Miss Chloe Davis, and the child she's carrying. Welcome to the family reunion. Family reunion? A child? Whose child? Is Ethan insane? You can't say that at your own wedding. The guests erupted. The carefully manicured lawn instantly turned into a chaotic scene of frantic whispering and shocked stares. My parents' faces went white. My aunt lunged toward the stage, trying to grab the microphone from my hand. Ethan, what are you talking about? I sidestepped her easily. Just wait, Aunt Carol. The show's just getting started. My voice was quiet, but it held a calm that was unshakable. From the inside pocket of my tuxedo, I pulled out my smartphone. I gave a nod to the sound tech next to the officiant. He hesitated for a second, then understood and handed me an AUX cord. A soft crackle echoed from the speakers, and then two women's voices filled the air, crisp and clear. It was Chloe and her maid of honor, Jenna. Jenna, are you sure about this, Chloe? Ethan's just a software engineer. His parents bought that house for him, and his salary is only enough to buy you a new handbag each month. Chloe, what choice do I have? I'm not getting any younger. I just need to lock down a nice guy. He's simple, not loaded, but he's easy to control. Jenna, true. Just get your name on the deed first. By the way, are you sure about that other thing? You're positive Ethan won't be able to tell? Chloe, how would he? He's clueless. He believes whatever I tell him. I told him it's his, so it's his. The timeline adds up anyway. Jenna, good point. Once you're married and the house is yours, you could just find an excuse to divorce him. You'll be set for life. Chloe, keep your voice down. Anyway, the plan is set. At the wedding, I'm not walking down that aisle until my name is on the title. There's no way he'll refuse in front of all his friends and family. The recording wasn't long, but every word was a poisoned dagger. A dead silence fell over the crowd. Every single guest turned, their gazes like spotlights, aimed directly at the bridal suite. I could only imagine the look on Chloe's face. BM, the door to the suite flew open. Chloe, hiking up her wedding dress, stormed out like a woman possessed, with Jenna and her parents trailing behind her, their faces ashen. Ethan, you set me up. Her eyes were bloodshot, her face contorted with rage. She looked nothing like the beautiful bride from moments before. You recorded me, you bastard. Her notoriously aggressive mother charged forward, pointing a finger in my face. You heartless piece of trash. What did our Chloe ever do to you? How could you ruin her like this? This is slander. We'll sue you. I let out a cold laugh. Don't get ahead of yourself. I said to her mother, I have a second gift for you. I raised the microphone again, my eyes scanning the crowd. The recording mentioned the baby my fiancée is carrying. She said the timeline adds up. She said, it was mine, but I'm a man who likes to be sure. A little while ago, I went with Chloe to a prenatal checkup. I managed to get a sample of her blood, and by pure coincidence, I found a few stray hairs in the apartment we shared. Hairs that weren't mine. I sent both of those samples, along with my own, to a lab for an expedited DNA test. I slowly pulled a few folded sheets of A4 paper from my pocket. The results were interesting. The report shows that the child is conclusively not mine. But what's even more interesting? I paused, letting my gaze lock onto a specific corner of the guest seating. My cousin, Kevin Vance, was sitting there. His face was paler than my parents', and he was shaking like a leaf in a hurricane. I smiled and raised my voice. This report proves that the child Chloe Davis is carrying shares a parental link with my dear cousin, Mr. Kevin Vance. Every head in the audience snapped towards Kevin. He looked like a fish out of water, his face turning a deep crimson, his mouth hanging open without a sound. His parents, my aunt and uncle, sitting beside him, looked utterly bewildered, their expressions shifting from shock to horror. "Kevin, what? What is going on?" my aunt asked, her voice trembling. Kevin's eyes darted around, avoiding everyone. I don't know. "Ethan, you're lying," he finally stammered out, a pathetic, weak defense. Chloe was stunned. She clearly never imagined I would have figured this part out. She glared at Kevin, her eyes burning with a venomous disbelief. She must have thought their little secret was perfectly safe. "Lying?" I held up the DNA report and waved it for all to see. "It's right here in black and white, certified by the lab." "How is this lying?" "Kevin, my dear cousin, you practically grew up in my house. My parents treated you like their own son. When I started my career and you were broke, I sent you money every month. I introduced you to my friends, my circle, including my fiancée, and this is how you repay me." Every word was a hammer blow, striking Kevin right in the chest. He finally broke, slumping into his chair and burying his face in his hands, completely shattered. My uncle, shaking with rage, shot up from his seat and slapped Kevin across the face. Crack! The sound was sharp and loud. "You animal! I'll kill you!" He grabbed a nearby chair and was about to bring it down on his son before other relatives jumped in and held him back. The scene descended into chaos. Meanwhile, the other main characters, Chloe and her family, were having their own dramatic meltdown. Chloe's father, a quiet man who rarely spoke, was so furious his lips had turned purple. He pointed a trembling finger at his daughter, speechless, before finally roaring, "You get out of my sight." But Chloe's mother displayed a shocking level of combativeness. Instead of blaming her daughter, she aimed all her fury at me. "Ethan Carter, what is wrong with you? Even if Chloe made a mistake, that's between you two. Did you have to humiliate her in front of all these people at her own wedding? You've ruined her life," she wailed, beating her chest in a display of theatrical grief. "You've destroyed our family's reputation. You have to give us an explanation." Her logic was so twisted it was almost funny. "An explanation? What kind of explanation do you want?" I shot back. "I'm the one who was cheated on, and I owe your family an explanation. Your daughter got pregnant with another man's child and tried to scam me out of my house and my money, and that's somehow my fault?" Seeing an opening, Jenna jumped back into the fray. "Don't you dare, Ethan. Chloe just made a mistake. She loves you. Why else would she agree to marry you? It was Kevin. He must have seduced her." She tried to shovel all the blame onto the already broken Kevin. As if grabbing a lifeline, Chloe immediately pointed at Kevin, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, it was him. He forced me. Ethan, you have to believe me. I only love you. I was wrong. I was so wrong. Please forgive me. We can start over. We can still get married." She cried, trying to walk toward me, to take my hand. Her performance was Oscar-worthy. Looking at her, I felt nothing but disgust. "Start over." I cut her off coldly. "Chloe, do you really think we can go back from this? Besides," my tone shifted again, a hint of pity in my eyes. "Do you really think Kevin is the final answer? Are you so sure the baby you're carrying is even his?" My words stunned not only Chloe, but also Kevin, who snapped his head up from his hands, his face a mask of utter confusion. What are you talking about?" Chloe's voice was laced with a new, subtle panic. Kevin stared at me, his eyes wide, as if trying to read my mind. I ignored them both and turned back to the sound tech. "If you would, please play the second recording." The tech, clearly enjoying the drama, quickly complied. Once again, the voices of Chloe and Jenna filled the air. This time, however, the content of their conversation made everyone gasp. "Jenna, Chloe, are you sure this will work? What if the kid grows up and doesn't look like Ethan or Kevin? Then you're screwed." "Chloe, who cares? I'll just say the baby takes after me. Besides, the hush money I got from Marcus Sterling is enough to set me up for life." "Jenna, that's true. $500,000 is a hell of a payday. But Sterling's wife is famously ruthless. If she ever finds out, you're in deep trouble. Chloe, that's why I have to marry a sucker like Ethan, and fast. Once we're married, the baby is born, his name is on the birth certificate. Who's going to question it? That loser Kevin was just a backup plan, something to make Ethan feel a little insecure. Does he really think I'd ever be with him? In his dreams. Jenna, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. You hit the jackpot 3 times. You get Sterling's money, you get Ethan's house, and you have Kevin wrapped around your little finger. Chloe, you're a genius. Chloe, huh? In this world, if a woman doesn't look out for herself, who will? You can't rely on men. The recording ended. The venue was utterly, deathly silent. If the first recording was shocking, the second one shattered everyone's understanding of morality. The sheer volume of deceit was enough to make anyone's head spin. Kevin's face went from pale to a sickly green. He stared at Chloe like a fool, mumbling to himself. Backup plan. I was the backup plan. It was all a lie. He let out a guttural scream and lunged from his chair, trying to get to Chloe. You bitch, you lied to me. My aunt and uncle, quick on their feet, grabbed him and held him back. As for Chloe, she had completely crumpled to the ground. The color had drained from her face. Her eyes were vacant, as if her soul had been ripped from her body. It was over. Everything was over. Her meticulous plans, her intricate web of lies. I had tore it all to shreds and exposed it for everyone to see. She was finished. Her hyper-aggressive mother was finally speechless, her mouth agape. Her so-called best friend, Jenna, was slowly backing away, desperately looking for an escape. I looked at the shell of a woman on the ground and felt no thrill of victory, only a bone-deep weariness and sorrow. The woman I had loved for 3 years was a calculating monster who treated love and trust as tools for her own gain. I started to question if a single word she had ever said to me was true. Just then, Chloe moved. She didn't cry or scream. Slowly, she began to climb to her feet. She straightened her disheveled wedding dress and wiped her face, though there were no tears. Then, she looked at me. Her expression was no longer cold or panicked. It was something I had never seen before. A bizarre, unnerving calm, as if she had reached enlightenment, as if she were a phoenix rising from the ashes. She smiled. A beautiful, tragic smile tinged with madness. Ethan Carter, she said, her voice even. Do you think you've won? Do you think by exposing me, I'm left with nothing? She walked slowly, deliberately back onto the stage until she was standing right in front of me. She leaned in close, whispering so that only I could hear. Her words hit me like a bolt of lightning. I froze, my blood turning to ice for the second time that day. She saw the shock on my face, and her smile widened. So, tell me, she gloated, are you still enjoying your little family reunion? This is what she whispered to me. Marcus Sterling didn't give me $500,000. He gave me a stock transfer agreement, 10% of the original shares in your company. Oh, and by the way, Marcus Sterling, he's that mysterious, never-seen investor of yours. My mind went completely blank. My company was a rising tech startup. I had founded it with a few friends from college. A year ago, we secured our first round of angel investment from a man named Marcus Sterling. None of us had ever met him. All communication, every contract, was handled through his lawyers. We only knew he was incredibly wealthy and intensely private. 10% of the original shares. What did that mean? It meant that when our company went public, those shares could be worth tens of millions, maybe even 100 million. It was worth infinitely more than the house she had just been demanding. I stared at Chloe, my mind reeling. Why would he give her that? How unless? An even more terrifying thought began to form. Chloe watched the storm of emotions on my face, her smirk deepening. Surprised, aren't you? You thought I was some stupid woman obsessed with a house. Oh, Ethan, you really underestimated me. And you really overestimated yourself. She took a step back, her voice raising just enough for those nearby to hear. That's right. The baby was Marcus's, but I didn't seduce him. He came after me. He told me he loved me, that he would leave his wife for me. He promised me that if I gave him this child, everything he owned would one day belong to us. Her words sent another shockwave through the remaining guests. Oh my God, who is Marcus Sterling? Sounds like a big shot. This woman's playing in a different league. Chloe's mother, hearing the words Marcus and shares, instantly came back to life. Her eyes lit up. She pushed her husband aside and rushed to her daughter's side. Chloe, is it true? Is this Marcus guy really rich? Chloe shot her an annoyed look. Stay out of this. She turned her attention back to me, her face a mask of triumphant victory. Ethan, this whole disaster today was your plan, wasn't it? You wanted to ruin my reputation, leave me with nothing. Too bad for you. You miscalculated. All you destroyed was the version of Chloe Davis who wanted to marry you. Soon, I'm going to be Mrs. Sterling, and a primary shareholder in your company. She lifted her chin like a proud peacock. From now on, we'll have a new relationship. I'm the owner, you're the employee. You'll have to see me in the boardroom and respectfully call me Director Davis. Isn't it ironic? I stared at her gloating face, the rage inside me so hot I thought I might actually combust. But beneath the anger, a chilling fear began to creep in. If she was telling the truth, if she really had control of those shares, she would have a seat on my company's board. With her manipulative nature and cunning, what would she do? She would destroy everything I had built. She would burn my entire life to the ground. I couldn't let that happen. Absolutely not. As my mind raced, searching for a way out, a cool, female voice cut through the air from the side of the stage. Mrs. Sterling, Director Davis. Ms. Davis, I think you might be celebrating a little prematurely. Everyone turned to see a woman in a sharp, black power suit and wire-rimmed glasses walking toward the stage. She moved with an air of complete authority. Behind her were two imposing men in dark suits. The moment Chloe saw this woman, her face changed. Sophia, Ms. Pierce, what are you doing here? The woman, Ms. Pierce, adjusted her glasses, a cold smile playing on her lips. Why am I here? I'm here on behalf of my client, of course. She walked to my side, gave me a slight nod, and then turned her full attention to Chloe. Ms. Davis, I am here to formally inform you. My client, Mrs. Eleanor Sterling, the legal wife of Mr. Marcus Sterling, has decided to sue you. The lawsuit will be for alienation of affection and the dissolution of a marriage. Furthermore, she demands the immediate return of all assets improperly gifted to you by her husband. This includes, but is not limited to, cash, gifts, and... Ms. Pierce paused, pulling another document from her briefcase. This signed, but not yet notarized or registered, stock transfer agreement, 06 MS. Pierce's words were a sledgehammer, crashing down on Chloe's moment of triumph. The arrogant, gloating expression on her face shattered, replaced by a ghastly, pale dread. No, that's impossible, she shrieked. I signed it. Marcus signed it. It's mine. You can't take it back. Ms. Pierce let out a cold, clinical laugh. Ms. Davis, perhaps you need a lesson in basic contract and family law, she said, her tone utterly dismissive. First, these shares are marital property, belonging to both Mr. and Mrs. Sterling. Mr. Sterling has no legal right to unilaterally gift or transfer such a significant asset without the express consent of his wife, especially not to a third party with whom he is having an illicit affair. Second, while the agreement was signed, it has not completed the necessary legal processes. Until it is registered with the Secretary of State and the corporation's records are amended, it is not legally binding. And most importantly, Ms. Pierce's voice became even colder. We have substantial evidence that you used your pregnancy to extort this and other financial assets from Mr. Sterling. That, Ms. Davis, is a felony. Extortion. The word hung in the air. Chloe swayed on her feet, looking like she was about to faint. Her mother, who had been seeing dollar signs just moments before, turned white with fear. Lawyer, don't try to scare us. We don't know about the law, she stammered. Our Chloe is having his baby. He should compensate her. Compensate her? Miss Pierce looked at her as if she were an idiot. Ma'am, your daughter destroyed a family. The law doesn't compensate people for that. The law requires them to return what they stole, with interest. She finished with the mother and turned back to me. Mr. Carter, my client, Mrs. Sterling, asked me to pass on a message. I was taken aback. A message? She said she greatly admires what you did here today. She believes that when you're dealing with trash, you can't afford to be sentimental. To thank you for exposing this affair and preventing a much greater financial loss for her family, she has decided. Ms. Pierce held out the stock transfer agreement, the one that had been intended for Chloe, to gift this 10% stake in your company to you. My breath caught in my throat. I stared at the document in her hand, then back at her face, my mind completely blank. What was happening? Was this real? The guests who remained were, once again, stunned into silence by the incredible turn of events. Oh my God, you couldn't write a TV show this crazy. The groom totally came out on top. Talk about karma. What goes around comes around. Hearing Ms. Pierce's words, Chloe's last thread of sanity finally snapped. And no, she screamed, lunging at me like a wild animal, trying to snatch the agreement from my hands. That's mine, it's mine. I stepped back instinctively. The two men who had come with Ms. Pierce moved in, each grabbing one of Chloe's arms and restraining her easily. She thrashed between them, her face a mask of pure hatred, spewing venomous curses. Ethan Carter, I hope you rot in hell. You stole what was mine. I'll haunt you for the rest of your life. Watching her, any last flicker of pity I might have had for her vanished. I slowly held up the agreement for her and everyone else to see and spoke calmly. You're wrong, Chloe. This was never yours. You were never worthy of it. You never wanted love or a family. All you ever wanted was a shortcut to wealth you didn't have to earn. To get it, you were willing to lie, to cheat, and to betray anyone who cared about you. You thought you were taking a shortcut, but you were really just walking off a cliff. You have nothing today, not because I destroyed you. You did this to yourself. As my words fell, Chloe's body went limp, and she sagged between the two men like a broken doll. A patch of crimson began to spread across the pristine white fabric of her wedding dress, near her legs. The red stain grew rapidly. Her mother let out a terrified shriek. Blood! She's bleeding. Somebody call an ambulance. The scene, once again, dissolved into chaos. 07 the wail of an ambulance siren sliced through the bizarre and chaotic atmosphere of the wedding that wasn't. Paramedics rushed in, loading a now unconscious Chloe onto a stretcher. Her mother followed, crying hysterically, while her father, looking like a hollowed-out shell, staggered behind them, supported by a relative. He never looked at me again. His eyes held not just resentment, but a profound shame and despair. My cousin, Kevin, had vanished during the chaos of the second recording. My aunt and uncle had run after him, leaving a mess in their wake. I could only imagine the nightmare their family was about to endure. And Jenna, the so-called best friend, had disappeared so quietly that no one even noticed she was gone. A meticulously planned wedding had devolved into a 5-alarm dumpster fire. The remaining guests began to leave, one by one. They looked at me with a complex mixture of pity, admiration, and the barely concealed excitement of having witnessed incredible drama. I knew the story of this day would be the hottest piece of gossip in their circles for months to come. My parents came over to me, my mom's eyes still red. Son, I'm so sorry you went through this. My dad just clapped me on the shoulder, his silence speaking volumes of support. I shook my head, managing a smile that felt more like a grimace. It's okay. It's over now. And it was. A 3-year-long deception had finally ended in the most spectacular and painful way possible. The process was humiliating, but the outcome for me was perhaps the best I could have hoped for. I looked down at the stock agreement in my hand. The paper felt weightless, but its significance was immense. Sophia Pierce hadn't left. She stood aside, observing everything with a quiet professionalism. Once the ambulance was gone, she approached me. Mr. Carter, Mrs. Sterling wanted me to be clear. This agreement is a thank you, but it's also an investment in you, she said. She believes that with your character and ability, you will lead the company to a very bright future. I looked at her, my voice filled with sincerity. Ms. Pierce, please thank Mrs. Sterling for me. I won't forget her kindness. And thank you as well. Sophia offered a small smile, her eyes sharp and intelligent behind her glasses. You're welcome. I was simply doing my job. My office will be in touch to handle the legal transfer. She paused. As for Ms. Davis, her tone turned clinical again. We will be proceeding with the extortion case. Mrs. Sterling has also filed for divorce, citing infidelity. They will both be held accountable for their actions. I nodded. This was the adult world. Every choice came with a price tag. When you screw up, you pay the price. With her business concluded, Sophia and her team departed. The lawn was nearly empty, leaving just me, my family, and the wreckage of the wedding. Pink decorations fluttered in the breeze like the tattered remnants of a broken dream. I told the hotel staff to pack up the banquet food and distribute it among themselves as a bonus for their trouble. Then I put my arms around my parents, ready to leave this place behind. As we started to walk away, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. A weak, venomous voice came through the speaker. It was Chloe, likely calling from a borrowed phone on the way to the hospital. Ethan, her voice was a toxic hiss. Don't you dare feel proud of yourself. My baby is gone. I had a miscarriage. I felt a jolt, but I said nothing. It's your fault. It's all your fault, she shrieked. You ruined me, and now you've killed my child. I will never forgive you. I will haunt you for the rest of your life. I'll make sure you lose everything. I will ruin you. Her hysterical curses continued until I heard a nurse's voice in the background, and the call was abruptly cut off. I stood there, phone in hand, for a long time. The setting sun cast my shadow long and dark across the empty lawn. Chloe's curse began to come true the very next day. The internet was flooded with news about me. Clickbait sites and gossip blogs ran wild with sensational headlines, all spinning a carefully crafted narrative. Tech bro drives fiancé to miscarriage at the altar to steal millions in stock. The sociopath groom. How a maniac trapped and destroyed his pregnant fiancé for greed. The ultimate betrayal. Tapes, DNA, and a perfectly planned takedown. In these articles, I was painted as a manipulative monster, a cold-blooded villain who would do anything for money. They claimed I knew Chloe was pregnant all along and orchestrated the entire wedding fiasco just to avoid sharing my newfound wealth. They alleged the recordings and DNA report were faked, that I had conspired with the homewrecker's wife to frame the innocent and trusting Chloe. They even claimed I had intentionally triggered her miscarriage. The articles were filled with fabricated details and emotional language, as if the authors had been there themselves. They were paired with photos of me speaking calmly on stage, juxtaposed with a blurry shot of Chloe, collapsed and bleeding, being lifted onto a stretcher. The visual contrast was damning. Public outrage was immediate and intense. Countless strangers, believing the lies, flooded comment sections with the most vicious attacks imaginable. This guy needs to be locked up forever. He's a psychopath. Imagine being married to someone that calculating. Team Chloe. Sue him for everything he has and everything he ever will have. My personal information, name, company, even my job title, was doxed and spread everywhere. My company's website and official Twitter account were overrun by an angry mob. Our receptionist was fielding hundreds of hateful calls. My partners, my old college friends, were panicking. Ethan, what the hell is going on? One of them called to ask. The internet is on fire. This is a PR nightmare. We've already had 2 clients call to say they're reevaluating our contracts. I sat in my office, looking at the vitriol on my screen, and felt surprisingly calm. I had expected this. Knowing Chloe, she would never go down without a fight. If she couldn't beat me in reality, she would use the court of public opinion to try and destroy me. Don't worry, I told my partner. Have our PR team issue a statement. Say we're investigating the situation and we'll release a full account of the facts. Then, give me a meeting with Sophia Pierce. Tell her it's time to fight back. After the call, I opened my personal Twitter account. It was a wasteland of hundreds of thousands of angry mentions and messages. I ignored them and composed a new tweet. Hello everyone. This is Ethan Carter. I know there are a lot of questions and accusations circulating online. I'm not going to argue or deny them piece by piece, because the truth is more powerful than any lie. In 3 days, I will be hosting a live-stream press conference. I will release all of the original, unedited evidence, including full audio and video recordings, as well as the relevant legal documents. I will also be joined by a few special guests who are involved. You want the truth? See you in 3 days. The tweet immediately poured gasoline on the fire. Look, the villain dares to show his face. Trying to spin this? Good luck with that, psycho. Can't wait to watch this train wreck. I'll bring the popcorn. The replies were almost universally mocking. Chloe's camp responded quickly. A new, anonymous account posted a photo of her in a hospital bed, looking pale and frail with an 4 at her arm. The caption read, "Physically and emotionally broken, but I will not be silenced. All I want is justice. The truth will come out in 3 days, and all the lies will be exposed. Jenna and a swarm of other so-called insiders immediately reposted it, expressing their support. The battle lines were drawn. Everyone was tuning in for my public execution. What they didn't know was that I was building a stage on which I was going to nail my accusers to a pillar of shame so high they would never climb down. 3 days flew by. The online frenzy reached its peak. The story of me and Chloe was twisted into a dozen different narratives by opportunistic content creators. I was the villain of a modern tragedy. She was the tragic heroine. The registered number of viewers for my live stream surpassed 10 million. Everyone was waiting to see me get torn apart. On the day of the stream, I used one of our company's conference rooms. The corporate logo was visible on the wall behind me. I wore a simple white shirt and sat calmly before the camera. Sophia Pierce sat beside me, her expression as coolly professional as ever. The moment the stream went live, the chat exploded into an unreadable waterfall of text. "Get off the internet, you monster. Justice for Chloe. Hope you go to prison." I ignored the chat and spoke directly into the camera. "Hello, everyone. I'm Ethan Carter. Thank you for tuning in to what many of you are expecting to be my public trial. For the past 3 days, you've heard a lot of stories about me. Today, I'm not here to tell a story. I'm here to present the facts." At my signal, a technician started a video file. The large screen behind me lit up with the complete, unedited footage from the wedding day. It started with me walking to the bridal suite and ended with Chloe being taken away by the ambulance. Every second was there. The guest conversations, the smug looks on Chloe and Jenna's faces, my uncle slapping Kevin, Sophia Pierce's dramatic arrival, Chloe's unhinged rage, and her eventual collapse. It was all there for millions to see. The chat feed paused for a fraction of a second. "Wait, this looks different from the story I read. She demanded the house at the wedding. Is that real? Okay, hold up, this is a lot to process." When the video finished, I continued. "What you just saw was the raw footage. Now for the first piece of evidence, the complete, unedited audio recording." I played the full conversation between Chloe and Jenna, where they plotted to scam me out of my house. This version was longer and even more explicit than the one I had played at the wedding. The tide in the chat began to turn. "Holy crap, she's a gold digger. That friend is a real piece of work too. Okay, feeling kind of bad for Ethan right now." Next, I played the second recording, the one where they discussed the baby and their scheme to manipulate me, Kevin, and Marcus Sterling. Hit the jackpot 3 times, my brain just broke. Is this woman a demon? Who the hell are Kevin and Marcus? The audience was hooked. I didn't keep them waiting. And now, I'd like to introduce our first special guest. The conference room door opened, and my cousin Kevin walked in, his head hung low. He looked gaunt and exhausted, his eyes darting away from the camera. I handed him a microphone. "Kevin, tell everyone what happened between you and Chloe." With trembling lips, Kevin recounted the entire story. How Chloe had seduced him, how he had betrayed me, and how he had been used as a pawn in her larger game. By the end, he was sobbing. "Ethan, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to my parents. I'm a worthless piece of garbage." The chat was in an uproar. OMG, he slept with his own cousin's fiancée. This Chloe woman is a master manipulator. Her skill level is insane. So whose baby was it really? I took the microphone back. The DNA reports have been submitted to the police as evidence in the extortion case against Ms. Davis. I'm sure an official statement will be forthcoming. As for Mr. Sterling, my eyes shifted to the other door of the conference room. Please welcome our second special guest. The door opened again. This time, the person who entered shocked everyone. It was Jenna, Chloe's best friend. She was pale and trembling, flanked on either side by 2 uniformed police officers. On her wrist was a pair of shiny, silver handcuffs. When Jenna, Chloe's maid of honor, was brought before the camera, she was shaking uncontrollably. The livestream chat went nuclear. WTF? Cops, what is happening? Did the friend get arrested? This livestream is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Sophia Pierce stood up, her voice clear and commanding as she addressed the camera. Allow me to clarify for our audience. In the ongoing investigation into Ms. Chloe Davis for felony extortion, this woman, Ms. Jenna Clark, has been identified not merely as a witness, but as an active co-conspirator and accessory. She repeatedly advised Ms. Davis on her illegal schemes and even acted as an agent, connecting her with potential targets in exchange for a percentage of the proceeds. Based on the evidence we provided, she is now a person of interest in multiple criminal investigations. The police are here today to bring her in for questioning. Sophia's explanation was a bombshell. The best friend wasn't just a bad influence. She was a partner in crime. Hearing this, Jenna completely fell apart. She started wailing at the camera. "No, it wasn't me. Chloe made me do it. She was the mastermind. I was just a pawn." In a desperate bid to save herself, she began to viciously turn on her best friend. "I'm the one who introduced her to Marcus Sterling, but she said he was too old and wasn't interested at first. It was only when she found out he was an investor in Ethan's company that she went after him. She said it was insurance, that if things with Marcus went south, she'd still have leverage over Ethan's business. And that's not all. She wasn't just with Marcus and Kevin. Before she even met Ethan, she was involved with other men. She scammed them out of thousands of dollars. Like a broken dam, Jenna let everything pour out, exposing every last one of Chloe's dirty secrets. The ugly, sordid deals hidden beneath a beautiful facade were now laid bare for millions to see. The audience was numb with shock. They had tuned in for a relationship drama and had stumbled into a true crime documentary. My jaw is on the floor. These two women are a nightmare team-up. Lock them both up and throw away the key. Ethan Carter didn't just dodge a bullet. He dodged a whole damn nuke. I watched Jenna sell out her friend without a flicker of emotion. When dogs turn on each other, all you get is a bloody mess. This was exactly the outcome I had wanted. As the police escorted a still screaming Jenna out of the room, a quiet finally fell. I turned back to the camera. "Everyone, the facts are now clear. I admit, I failed in this relationship. I was blind, and I fell in love with the wrong person. But I have never done anything illegal or unethical. I've laid everything bare today, not for sympathy, but to send a message to anyone who has been in a similar situation." I paused, my voice gaining strength. When you are wronged, silence and compromise don't earn you respect. They only empower the wicked. The only thing we can do is use the truth and the law to protect ourselves and ensure that those who do evil face the consequences. After I finished, the tone of the chat had completely flipped. "Ethan Carter is a class act." "Well said. That's how you handle a psychopath. Total respect. I'm officially a fan. This guy is a legend. Hey, Ethan, is your company hiring?" A small smile finally touched my lips. I knew this war was over. I had won. Just then, Sophia's phone buzzed. She answered it, and after listening for a moment, a strange expression crossed her face. She hung up, leaned over to me, and whispered, "Ethan, we have another problem. It's Chloe. 11-inch, what happened?" I asked. Sophia's expression was grim. She checked herself out of the hospital, and she just posted a video online. A knot of dread formed in my stomach. Sophia quickly handed me her phone. The video showed Chloe in a hospital gown, her face deathly pale, but her eyes burning with a wild, hateful energy. She was standing on the roof of a tall building, the wind whipping her hair around her face. "Ethan, do you see this?" she cried into the camera. "You ruined me. You pushed me to the edge. You think you won? Think again. I'm going to jump from here right now. I'm going to make sure you live with this nightmare for the rest of your life. I'm going to make sure the whole world knows that you murderer, are the one who killed me." The video was short but terrifyingly effective. The hashtag Chloe Jumps immediately started trending. The public opinion that had just solidified in my favor was now thrown into turmoil. While most people had seen the truth, a vocal minority of online saviors began flooding my livestream chat. "This has gone too far. A human life is at stake. Did Ethan really have to push her this hard? This is just cruel. Someone needs to go save her. This is on him now." I looked at the twisted expression on Chloe's face and felt not an ounce of pity, only a profound wave of disgust. Even now, she was still performing, still using the most extreme measures to manipulate the public and drag me down with her. She had no intention of dying. She was just weaponizing her own life to make one final attack. "Sophia, have the police been called?" I asked, my voice steady. "Yes, they're using the video to pinpoint her location right now," she replied. "But Ethan, I strongly advise you to go to the scene. I frowned. Me? Yes. Sophia's gaze was serious. She's calling you out by name. If you don't go, and she does something reckless, then no matter what the law says, you will be crucified in the court of public opinion for the rest of your life. Besides, I have a feeling this is her final trap. I understood what she meant. This was Chloe's endgame. I had two choices: go and walk into whatever trap she had set, or stay and be branded for life as the cold-hearted man who drove his ex-fiancée to suicide. I took a deep breath. Okay, I'll go. I turned back to the live stream audience. Everyone, as you can see, there's been an emergency. I have to leave immediately. We're ending the stream now. The police will issue updates as the situation develops. With that, I got up and rushed out of the company with Sophia. The location from a video was quickly identified. It was the roof of my own office building. By the time we arrived, the entire block was cordoned off, swarming with police cars, fire trucks, and ambulances. An inflatable rescue cushion was being set up on the street below. I looked up and could see her, a small figure in white, perched precariously on the edge of the roof like a piece of paper ready to be blown away. A police captain spotted me and hurried over. "You're Ethan Carter?" "Yes." "She's asking for you, and only you. We can let you go up, but you have to wear protective gear, and a negotiator will go with you." I nodded in agreement. They strapped me into a harness attached to a safety line. Then, followed by the police negotiator, I entered the building. As we climbed the stairs, the sound of the wind grew louder, mixed with Chloe's faint, hysterical cries. Finally, we reached the roof. The moment we pushed the door open, a fierce gust of wind hit us. Chloe was standing on the outer ledge, half of her body already over the edge. When she saw me, the vacant look in her eyes ignited with pure hatred. "You finally came," she screamed. "You murderer." The negotiator gave me a subtle look, signaling me not to agitate her. I slowly, carefully began to walk toward her. "Chloe, come down from there," I said, my voice as calm as I could make it. "Whatever it is, we can talk about it on solid ground. Don't do this. Do this." She let out a wild, high-pitched laugh. "You destroyed everything. My reputation, my future, my baby. My life is over. And you want to come down and talk?" "Ethan, I'm not going down alone. I'm taking you with me." Before I could process her words, she whipped something out from behind her back. It was a fruit knife, its blade glinting in the afternoon sun. She didn't turn it on herself. She launched herself off the ledge, back onto the roof, and charged directly at me. "I'll kill you, we'll die together." Chloe's attack was so sudden it caught everyone off guard. Her threat to jump had been a diversion. Her real plan was to assault me on the roof, to create a scene of a murder-suicide or a crime of passion and drag my name through the mud forever. The negotiator and other officers reacted instantly, moving to intercept her. But I was faster. As she lunged, I didn't retreat. I moved toward her. Just as she reached me, I pivoted sharply, sticking out my leg and hooking her ankle. Already off balance and consumed by rage, the trip sent her sprawling. "Ah!" she shrieked as she lost her footing, tumbling forward onto the hard concrete. The knife flew from her grasp, skittering across the roof with a screech. In a flash, the officers were on her, pinning her to the ground. It was over in seconds. Chloe lay on the rooftop, still struggling and screaming curses. "Ethan Carter, I hope you die. I curse you." I stood over her, my expression not of anger, but of cold, final resolution. "It's over, Chloe," I said. "You've lost. Completely." The entire scene on the roof, her feigned suicide attempt, the hidden knife, the attack, had been captured by dozens of news cameras and cell phone videos from the street below. Attempted assault. It was a charge far more serious and concrete than anything that had come before. It was an undeniable felony. Chloe was taken into custody. What awaited her was the full, unforgiving weight of the law. Extortion, conspiracy, and now attempted assault. Her life, as she knew it, was well and truly over. The storm had finally passed. A few days later, the police department released a comprehensive official statement, detailing the entire case from beginning to end. The last vestiges of doubt about my innocence evaporated online. My name was cleared, and in a strange twist of fate, I went from being a villain to a symbol of epic revenge. My company's reputation, far from being damaged, soared. The live stream had given us massive, unprecedented publicity. The 10% stock transfer was finalized, and I became the second largest shareholder in the company I had co-founded. My life, after plunging down the steepest drop of a roller coaster, had somehow ended up at a dizzying new height. A month later, I took Sophia Pierce to dinner to thank her for everything. The restaurant was warm and elegant. Dressed in a stylish dress instead of her usual power suit, she seemed softer, the sharp edges of the lawyer replaced by the warmth of the woman. "Congratulations, Ethan," she said, raising her wine glass. "You made it through the storm." I smiled, clinking my glass against hers. "You can call me Ethan." "And thank you, Sophia." She paused for a moment, then a genuine smile graced her lips. "I heard Chloe confess to everything," I said, taking a sip of wine. "She did," Sophia confirmed. "Her, Jenna, and Marcus Sterling. None of them are getting away with it. Sterling's company took a massive hit from the scandal and was bought out by a competitor. He's facing multiple charges himself. It's a complete mess for them. What goes around comes around, I mused. It certainly does, she agreed. We looked at each other and smiled, a silent understanding passing between us. Outside the window, the city lights of the Bay Area sparkled against the night sky. I looked at the woman across the table from me, brilliant, composed, and fiercely intelligent, the one who had navigated me through the darkest period of my life. Something inside me, a part of me that had been frozen with betrayal and anger, began to thaw. The past was finally behind me. A new story was just beginning. I raised my glass, meeting her bright, clear gaze. "To the future, she replied, her smile radiant. "And